Greetings and salutations, everyone! My name is Fire Mage, and welcome back to Rimworld Ascension Take 2, Episode 92. If you enjoy this episode, please remember to like and subscribe, and as always, mod list is down in the description. And with that, let's get on to the episode. Alright, well, picking up from where we left off last time, what are my plans for today? Well, if you will recall, at the end of last episode, I mentioned what I want to do. Obviously, we will be wrapping up the hospital, but, and this is going to go on the list, today's big focus, other than the hospital, is going to be the vehicles and the armory. And that is on the list now. Build a new garage and build the new armories. Now, those are both going to be a little time consuming, but it should be good. And we'll start off by deconstructing this room here. Now, how do I plan to do this? Well, as you can see, this is the only remaining garage door on the entire colony. All the rest of it, removed. And that is for a very good reason, because this is going to be where the garage goes, right here by the hospital. Now, the only difference is I think I might decide to move this door up slightly, just because I don't really like how close it is to over here. So we will need to deconstruct right here, and of course we'll need to reconstruct the entire bridge as well, but honestly, that won't be too terribly much of a hassle. So the garage will go here. We will have individual bays for each vehicle, with space to build more and future expansions included, of course. Then as for the armory, still not entirely sure what we're going to do with that. I already have this small one over here, but that's only for like a little bit of ammo and maybe a couple of guns, a little bit of armor. I still need to figure out where I want the main armory. So, that is also something we need to figure out. But, until Ra is out of the Biosculptor pod, this is going to be the main priority. Doing the hospital. And there we go. The second ENIAC is built. Probably don't need two of those, but it does mean that if we activate them, our research will go by 50% faster, which is a lot, honestly. I don't think we'll need that, but we have it if we do. And in the meantime, it looks like these hospital beds have all been moved over, which is perfect. So that means that we now need to figure out how we want to put in some more beds, because 8 is not enough. Now, we could keep going like this, and that would make us have to push this out slightly, which could work if we did a little something like this. In fact, I think that is exactly what we're going to do. That actually solves one of my problems, which was that there was going to be this very small gap here. Now, the small gap is right over here. Still a gap, but in a slightly more advantageous place. Of course, that means we will need to move the drippers down and build some more vital monitors, but all in all, that shouldn't be too terribly difficult. That also means that it will open up all of right here, which we can use for more stuff. Probably. More vehicles or an armory, or really whatever else we deem necessary. And while the work is continued on the hospital, it seems that the wall over here has been opened up. Which means that we need to, if I can find it, here it is, build a new depleted uranium garage door. And then, of course, bring the wall over, but can't exactly do that just yet. where is one of my constructors? Could you please come deconstruct this door? Now, one big change I'm making to the Citadel, which I may or may not have mentioned before, is it will not have one big choke point like this. Instead, we are simply going to have the very, very durable walls and a bunch of turrets, and the enemy will have to either break through the wall or die. Now, what that means is they will likely try to break through right here, because this is going to be our weakest connection point, as the depleted uranium garage door only has about as much durability as one of these walls, and it covers 5 tiles, which is going to be an issue. Also, we can safely say that section of the bridge needs to stay. Let's also go ahead, put in the rest of the bridge. Here we go. And back to what I was saying, though. My plan is we need to put some defenses by this door. And we have quite a few options. Obviously, we have lots of actual turrets, which we should probably build, if I'm being completely honest. But even better than the normal turrets are the big fancy things, like this twin heavy flat gun, which is a little overkill for most situations, probably. Or, if we go to the permanent tab here, things like the pillbox, the tank bunker. Like, we have quite a few options here. Now, the real question is, can it fire over walls? Which I'm pretty sure the answer is no. But if it could, that would be pretty cool. Well, after reading the mod description real quick, which is outdated, it doesn't seem like the tank bunker can fire over walls, which is a bit of a shame, but not too unexpected. So I think, given that this is along the river, and I don't particularly feel like trying to micromanage this, I think we'll just go with some basic automated turrets, specifically an autocannon here, and an autocannon here. That will, of course, require us to build some embrasures, which we do have access to right here, which we will do just a little something like that, and a little something like this. And that should give at least some basic cover fire to this bridge. And later on, we might throw in some of these turrets. Maybe like an anti-tank bunker here or something. And with the last of the bridge there finished, we can safely say that that bit of the project is done, which includes the hospital, which is connected and upgraded. Now, technically, we didn't add any more beds to it, but we did make it much more space efficient, which I will count as a victory. And we could theoretically put some more beds in here too, if we needed to. We don't yet, but if we need to, we can. Now, going over to the defenses, you might notice that I moved this one from over here to right here. And that is because I realized that the wall is going to need to go along here in order to not cut into our farming zone. So, I had to move it in a little bit. But these two autocannons should provide good cover for the bridge. So if anyone tries to run up, they'll be shot in the face. Now, the last thing I want to do pertaining to those little spots is I want to put in one steel military turret into each of them to give them a little bit of close range firepower. And with that done, it is time to begin laying the groundwork for our garage. Now, as I said, we want to go up along the farming zones like this, and then we'll loop up and around. And then that'll seal off all of this section here for us to work with. It'll be quite the sizable expansion. Now, the biggest issue right now is Raw. I really need to move this, but I can't because Raw's in it. At least I don't think. Hold on. If I do this, can you just, like, pick Raw up in it? Or is this going to reset it? I hope it doesn't reset it. But it might. Ah, it resets. Oh, well. It happens. Raw, I'm sorry. But you're still going to have cataracts. Can't do nothing about it. But that does mean that we can seal off right here. Temporarily. Obviously, the hall needs to go up and around. And also, real quick, while we are working on all of this, first of all, leave a hole so we can get up there. But we need to build another generator. Alright, and now that Rivera is moving that flamer turret that was in the way, let's go ahead and we'll put this generator, let's see if we can't try and center it a little. That's about as good as we're going to get. We'll put it right there. Then let's make sure that we are using the proper stuff. And yep, it'll get connected right up to the system. Perfect. And that will give us a little bit more power to play with. Now, going back over here to where the garage will be, this is certainly going to be interesting to design. Now, we have quite a few vehicles, and I'm going to want a space for all of them. So, I think the best idea is probably going to be first to measure just how big the current space is, which is roughly a 27 by 24 or 583 total tiles. Yikes. That's a lot. But since this is going to be internal, we can get them kind of crammed in here just a little more. So I think what we'll do is we'll extend this wall up like so, up to about where this armory is. And then we'll cut across right about here. Now, why here? Well, because we also still need a spot to put all of our helicopters. Because while the Mosquito is tiny, the other two that I plan to get eventually are not very small. So, gotta make sure we have a decent-sized landing area for them. Although this will take quite a while to get built, both in terms of the resource transportation and the building itself. But it will be well worth it. Although, let's also not forget to put in a door, let's say here, so that they can actually walk out here to access the fields. And although this is going to be kind of its own citadel, apparently we'll be able to connect it up just a little bit and even use a double door. How quaint. And you know what? While we're over here, let's also go ahead start deconstructing all of this over here, since it is no longer going to be necessary. And we'll move the flag over here. Why not? Oh no! That is a faction assault between the Eastern Republic and Neanderthals from Luttermore. Alright, looks like our allies are spawning up there. The Neanderthals are spawning over here. In all of their Neanderthaliness. Let's see, where are you moving? Okay, you're moving down there. Well, see, so now I don't have to engage, but it would be really funny if I just happened to hit them with a coastal battery shot. It would be really funny, and I'm gonna do it, even though it probably isn't advisable. And while Seropia is making her way on down to that, I actually want to build another depleted uranium garage door right here. Get a little airlock system going. Just cuz, why not? Little extra defense never hurt anybody. Oh, they are just asking to be hit with a coastal artillery shot. Oh, it's so perfect. Let's aim... You know what? Let's just aim right for that wall. Why not? Sighted in. Firing. Hold fire. Ooh, bunch of dead. And a whole bunch stunned. Alright. Let's fire again. And we will shoot right here. That should hit most of them again. Fire. Oh, wait. We're on cooldown. Fire for effect. There it goes. And stunned. And unfortunately, since they're stunned, they're just going to die. Man, these guys are really durable. I always forget how strong Neanderthals are. Unfortunately, I have a coastal artillery battery, and I'm not afraid to use it. Oh, and looks like the Eastern Republic is now going to attack them. Unfortunately, I've already done a lot of damage. More importantly, though, I now get all their corpses. Some of them might even survive falling down. That would be great. Unfortunately, it looks like the only one who was downed is VB, and death in 0.7 hours. Yeah. Don't think we're capturing you. Looks like Lobster's also going to walk off the map. That's a shame. You know, I can't help but notice that we are running dangerously low on meat right now. So you know what? White, I'm going to have you go equip not an anti-material rifle, since your gun doesn't particularly matter. And I am going to send you off to join Sam in hunting. Please come equip that, and leave behind all of your really good gear. Oh, and apparently there's also a bulk goods trader passing by. Interesting. Well, Bella Rose, you're already right there. Let's call up, apparently, Crazy Fox Securities. That's a name. Hopefully they're willing to buy stuff, because I am basically flat broke. Alright, let's see. They got a bunch of German Shepherds. That's a thing. Are they willing to sell us? They're willing to sell us some meat. Very good. Help tide us over. Handful of components. Very good. Almost out of those. How are we doing on Mechanoid components? We got 4 of them. Let's try and see if we can't buy some more. Same with some more medicine. Alright, so, with all of that, let's see. They are willing to buy the tainted clothing. Well, I certainly won't say no to selling that. And with all the tainted apparel being sold, that's still not enough. So let's sell them some jade, bronze, yayo, and flake. And finally, a whole bunch of leather. And I did switch the hunting site a few episodes back over to hunting Mega Sloth so that we get more meat, but that does mean we now only really get heavy fur. So that means plain leather will be getting sold today. Not that I'm complaining too terribly much about that. So, selling all of that stuff gets us to a profit of 1,208 silver. Perfect. Because we had, like, no money. Alright, well, it's raining, so let's go ahead and hurry up on the hauling process for that. And he's off. White is now en route to Blue Ridge Hunting Outpost. And apparently is going to be just barely missing 2 scouting parties from the Blight Society. Yikes. Speaking of the Blight Society, it looks like they've almost completely pushed the Pact of Rabonlia out of the north. Them and the Rodu guys. That's not good. Oh, and apparently White's caravan was ambushed, but because it's so close to our base, it didn't technically leave the tile. It's just on our map. That's a thing. White just spawned back in the base. Hi, White. Welcome home. Well, yeah, I guess they're gonna just charge my defenses. Raw, I guess. You wanna go mess with them since you got a giant hammer? Let you go have some fun. Rivera, run faster. You are going to be shot. Oh, unless they just charge at you with melee weapons. Well, this is why we have autocannons. I also have the door control ready. Oh my god, I think my autocannons did more damage to Rivera than anyone else. Okay, I guess we know who's going in a Biosculptor pod. Rivera, if you could make it inside the door. Close the door. Aha, you fools. Then open the door again. Close the door. I'm literally just messing with him right now. This is so funny. Oh, there goes a huge chunk of my bridge, and the pink squares have returned. Ah, looks like they figured out my trick. Well, Ra's still on the way. Oh, wait, no, some of them are turning back around. Oh, they're all turning back around. Well, here goes Ra with the giant hammer of death. Missing every swing. Oh, there we go, one hit. Aha, run, cowards. Okay, now Rivera's collapsed. Finally. Hey, can you, like, tend to Rivera? Alright, looks like Rivera's been stabilized. For the most part. Cool. Can we load Rivera up for a bioregeneration cycle? Because they're gonna need it. Yeah, they just had so many things shot off. They're gonna be in there for a while. Alright, and with White's arrival at Blue Ridge, let's go ahead and check how much it produces right now. So right now, Blue Ridge with just Sam produces 760 heavy fur and a little over 2,100 Mega Sloth meat. So once White is added, it goes up to 1,520 heavy fur and 4,204 Mega Sloth meat. That is quite nice. And that will keep us well fed, I think. And that's with only 2 decent hunters. Unfortunately, I can't really afford to send anyone over to the mining camp, seeing as they're all kind of valuable right now. But that is something we may end up doing in the future with Lady. Although Lady is a good jack of all trades, their mining skill is at least semi-passionate, so perhaps they will be sent off. Well, with that little interesting incident with White and the massive upgrade to our hunting camp in terms of its production, I think I'll be leaving this episode off here. Admittedly, didn't make as much progress as I wanted, but we do have this generator fully operational, just need to connect it to the power grid, and we are working on our garage. Not only that, but we have connected the main citadel to the factory citadel, so should be able to maximize our production efficiency with that. In the next episode, we should hopefully be able to continue our work on the garage and airfield. If all goes well, those should be done, and then we can begin work on converting all of this section here into our housing, as well as a couple of armories. But with all that said and done, though, I will see you all in the next episode.